What is good, defenders, and welcome. I've got to pinch myself now every single time I say this. This is One More Sleep, your favorite Defenders of the Bank pre-match segment, and we're playing Chelsea in a match that matters. That's right, Premier League giant Chelsea against LAFC, not in a friendly, not in a preseason, not in a closed door, not in anything that doesn't matter. This is the first match of the 2025 Club World Cup. Whoa, my lights are going all weird. I have no idea what's happening. Let's see if I can. There we go. Nope, maybe not. Sorry, guys. A little technical. There it is. There we go. Little technical difficulty here. Even my light doesn't know what to do because we're playing Chelsea. It is silly season at Defenders of the Bank right now, you guys. Can you believe that we get to play Chelsea in the Club World Cup? Obviously, if you're a Flamengo fan, it's a huge couple of weeks for you. Obviously, if you're Tunisian and you're tuning in to figure out more about LAFC, welcome. Esperance, that's our other team that we play. It is unbelievable that LAFC gets to play in the Club World Cup. And I want to say one quick thing to all the black and gold faithful out there. Two quick things. First and foremost, obviously, this should not and will not take attention away from everything that's going on in Los Angeles and, unfortunately, around our country right now. But it is okay for a minute to be able to find some joy and solace and relief in the world through sport. And I hope that's what we can all do over these next 10 days or so, hopefully longer, in the Club World Cup. So I love all of you. I hope you don't think we're trying to take away from the attention of what's going on. Obviously, that's hugely important to us. Number two, I just want to ask everybody out there, the black and gold faithful, Defenders of the Bank, the millions. I swear I need Philly. I miss Philly. I miss you, buddy. And millions. Take a second. Think about what else is going on right now in Major League Soccer. Think about the Galaxy tonight. A 3-3 draw against St. Louis in what will eventually just be a meaningless middle of the season, regular season MLS match. We get to talk about teams, the likes of which you dream to play against. Chelsea, Flamengo, Esperance, all of the teams that we could play against. I mean, look at Inter Miami. Good showing against Al Ahly. Nothing draw. Seattle, a great showing tonight against Botafogo, dominating the second half, losing 2-1, but dominating the second half. We are in these pinch me moments for LAFC that we have to stop and take a second to sink in and savor these moments. These moments are what's supporting a club. This is what you dream for. This is what you strive for. This is everything. These kind of moments. And look, we've only been around, both as a podcast and obviously as a club, for 8 years on the pitch. We've only been around for 8 years on the pitch. And Ruben, I'll talk about that too for sure. We've only been around for 8 years, and these first 7 have flown by. And you know what else flew by? Making and winning the MLS Cup in 2022. Making and winning the final in MLS Cup 2022. You know what else flew by? The times where we went to León to play huge matches, the time where we played against Tigres and Club America and all these other teams, these moments have all flown by as we begin to get a little bit longer in the tooth, but be able to savor these moments a little bit more. We've got to take a step back and think, these are those moments where supporting this crest, it becomes surreal. Where supporting this club becomes a dream. All these other things that go on throughout our season, the dolo in, the dolo out, the we can't win a final, the disappointing performance here, for the next 10, 12, 14, 18, who knows how many days. These are the pinch me moments that we have to savor. And I truly believe that these boys are going to be ready to put on a good showing for us in the Club World Cup. Look, we're not the favorites. We're not middle of the table. We're in the bottom third of clubs that are expected to do anything, right? So is Seattle. So is Inter Miami. But this time, these moments with these players, with each other out there supporting, all of you that are in Atlanta, I am so jealous. I run a summer camp, and tomorrow is my first day of summer camp. I can't miss, as the camp director, I can't miss the first day of summer camp. I really wish I could be there with all of you. I am so bummed. By the way, if you're going, hit me up. I'd like to have you buy something for me if it's there. That'd be really cool. So hit me up afterwards. Let me know if you're there. But these are the moments, you guys, that make it all worthwhile. These are the moments that we can sit back and relax and enjoy, because everything from here on out in the Club World Cup is found money. It's icing on a cake. The goal is to make it. Now that we're there, to quote, I believe it's Conor McGregor, and Philly will appreciate this one, let's not just go there to take part. Let's go there to take over. Take over right on cue. I really hope you heard that last little bit. I had no idea you were even coming into the room until I saw your little box right there at the very end. He's got his University of Indiana, the Hoosiers cap on, but I know he is all black and gold when we get there tomorrow. And apparently he's driving in a covered wagon of some sort. I give you one Christian Philemon, everybody.
Oh, hello, defenders. Hello, JR. Hello to the millions.
And millions.
Yes, I'm in a car right now driving back from Long Beach. I'm in the passenger seat as producer Panda over there is hauling Bud on the way back to Burbank. Just got hauling a WPSL game, FC Premier and SoCal Union. So I wanted to make it on this pod because there's not very many opportunities we get to face a team of the likes of a Chelsea, a team that I know plenty of people are now wondering, should I root for the team I've been rooting for decades or for LAFC? For me, it's simple. You hop on the 110 and get to BMO. You can't do that going to Stamford Bridge. But yes, to echo your words, oh my God, we're playing Chelsea and it's wild. Too bad we're not in Atlanta, and too bad the game's at 12 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, 12 o'clock on TBS and DAZN or whatever else it is there. 12 o'clock. Oh my goodness. At Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home of the Atlanta United and Atlanta Falcons, obviously there in Atlanta. Look, Philly, one of the things that we were going to talk about on this, and I'm so glad you joined in. Now, we were going to have a special guest for the preview pod, but that special guest has been rebooked for our recap pod about this. Philly, our good buddy Slippy, who is in Atlanta right now, he's in charge of both like the Chelsea support fund that's happening tonight, and he's rounding up 3252 members as well. But Philly, few clubs as historic as the club founded in 1905 that plays at iconic Stamford Bridge, Chelsea.
No question about that. And let's also not forget the fact that in 2022, they also won the FIFA Club World Cup as well. A team with a lot of history, more of a recent success, honestly. Had it not been for Roman Abramovich and that Russian oil money, we wouldn't have been talking about the success of Chelsea because none of it really happened until the Abramovich era. But yes, a lot of ties, a lot of interesting scenarios. One of the biggest clubs in the world from a financial perspective. Obviously, they've had a run of success. We have a player that competed for them in the likes of an Olivier Giroud. It's wild. And you look at Slippy FC, his world tour. House divided. Him, our other friend Sujin, our other friend Ben. People are, going to be divided on whether or not to wear black and gold or blue and white. But to me, again, it's simple. You hop on the 110 to go to BMO. You don't do that going to Stamford Bridge. Just saying.
And here's what I love, Philly. You tell the story there of Chelsea winning the Club World Cup in 2022, and you think, oh, okay, so when they won the Champions League in 2020, 2021 over Manchester City, 1-0, then that's how they got to win the Club World Cup in 2022. Au contraire, my friend, that's how they qualified for this year's Club World Cup 4 years ago. They win the Champions League. And oh, by the way, we're talking about a club that was managed by Thomas Tuchel, a club that had Kai Havertz score their only goal with Mason Mount, Timo Werner, N'Golo Kante, Thiago Silva, Edouard Mendy in goal, Rudiger on the back line. They had this unused sub named Olivier Giroud on the bench in that final. Christian Pulisic comes off the bench in the 66th minute, and 4 years ago, they win Champions League to qualify for 2025's Club World Cup, and the only player still left is Reece James from that Chelsea team in 2021. So all those guys that did the qualifying, Philly, only Reece James gets to reap the benefits 4 years later.
Look, are we really going to go into how clubs qualified for the FIFA Club World Cup? Because there are a lot of head scratchers there. One in particular had a tough time beating one of the most successful teams out of Egypt in Al Ahly. Like, of course, we're talking about Inter Messi Flamingo Fort Lauderdale. But we are in the FIFA Club World Cup. We got a fat $10 million as a result of beating Club America. We'll get $1 million for every contest we're in. I think it's 2 if we win. So I don't know what to expect. I just I hope our boys give it a good run. And I know the people that are kind of split on this, they just want everybody to also have fun. The best case scenario for several of our friends that follow both LAFC and Chelsea vehemently would be a draw. But we'll see, man. Chelsea had a really good run towards the end of the season, finishing, top 4? Cole Palmer, who I believe is going to be wearing the number 10 right now, had, 15 goals over the course of the season. He had a really good run. Obviously, that's my spoiler for player to watch. I didn't send you any stats because I didn't know if I'd be able to have time to hop on this. And as you can hear it in my voice, bro, I've called 22 games in a week. I don't even know how I'm still talking.
Well, listen, we're happy you joined us. Look, you'll appreciate a little deep dive I did as well. Obviously, what we know, Philly, is that Chelsea has never faced LAFC in a match, but they do have a little bit of history against Los Angeles and LA area teams. They did defeat Carson 1-0 in a friendly in 2007. But Philly, how about this? 1977, 1979, Chelsea defeats the LA Aztecs 3-1 and 2-0 in a couple of matches against the Aztecs. So a little bit of history there for Los Angeles soccer against Chelsea. And look, the bottom line is this. I know that LAFC is one of the biggest clubs in MLS, highest valuation, and really the most aspirational club, in my opinion, in all of CONCACAF. But this is David versus Goliath, right? We're talking about, according to Transfer Market, $1.05 billion valued team. Like players who take the pitch. They've got 29 players valued at 10 million euros or more. 6 players, including obviously Cole Palmer, who you mentioned, and Moises Caicedo. 6 players are valued higher than LAFC's entire roster. This is David and Goliath if we've ever seen one.
Yeah, but maybe, and on paper, most certainly. I still don't, and call me naive and optimistic, but I don't view that as making that big of a difference. I feel as if we're going to compete with them in a very, very, I guess what's the word I'm looking for? Similar fact. I don't think this is going to be a David Goliath matchup. I think it's going to be an interesting, action-packed game. It's certainly not going to be the likes of a Bayern Munich against Auckland City, where Bayern put up 10 against a semi-pro team with people that have jobs as forklifters and play football. It's not going to be like that, but I don't envision this being a lopsided massacre. I really don't. Could I be wrong? Sure. Will LAFC come out victorious? I'm not saying that that's the case either. But even though it's David and Goliath, in reality and on paper, I don't view it as a David and Goliath matchup. I do think that LAFC is going to match up fairly well against Chelsea, and it's just a matter of seeing how Chelsea's going to, look into this. Are they going to take it as seriously as LAFC will? Because in this sort of a competition, anybody has a fighter's chance. I firmly believe.
Listen, a chip in a chair is all you need. We lost Philly, I think, for a second there. Either that or it went dark. Hope everybody's okay in that car. Look, we've got a couple of players, obviously, with long histories against Chelsea. Of course, our keeper, Hugo Lloris, faced Chelsea 23 times before this match tomorrow. Hugo Lloris hasn't fared very well against Chelsea. Oh, wow. We got a sideways Philly. Hugo Lloris has not fared very well against Chelsea over the course of his career. 23 matches against Chelsea, just five wins, 12 losses, 6 draws, and more importantly, in 23 matches, just 3 clean sheets. The last time he played Chelsea was August 14th of 2022. And of course, Philly, you mentioned it, a player with more history probably than anybody else in this rivalry against Chelsea, Olivier Giroud, 119 matches, 39 goals, 14 assists for Chelsea. And of course, all he did was win Champions League, Europa League, and the FA Cup with Chelsea. But the other fun part is, Philly, for Arsenal, he faced them 16 times. But again, only 1 goal and 1 assist in those 16 matches. But Philly, you know me. I like my homework. We just brought on Club America's left winger, Avairo Dilrosun. He actually faced Chelsea's under 23s 2 times. And the only reason why I bring that up is because in those 2 matches, Reece James was also playing for Chelsea's under 23s, who's the only common player that we've got in common with all the others. So I don't know, Philly. All I'm saying is we got a couple guys that probably aren't going to be as intimidated by Le Blue shirts as I think maybe a couple of other guys could be.
I don't think maybe some players, yes, but look, I don't think that a Denny Bawanga is going to look on the opposite end of the pitch and think anything other than seeing red. Denny is a destroyer, and I do think Denny's going to have an impact in the game. I think he's going to shred through Chelsea's back line. Now, whether or not he finds the back of the net is another story. But at this level, you may have respect for the opposite end of the kit. You may realize that the last guy coming off the Pine Pony makes more than the entire club does. But I don't think they're going to see a pitch in a stadium that they've seen time and time again in Atlanta United. They're going to be, they don't compete against Atlanta all that much, but they're in the U.S. They're not dealing with any jet lag. They're not dealing with anything other than having to play on turf. I think the turf is the great equalizer in the grand scheme of things because MLS teams have a little more time spent on turf and experience as opposed to those playing in England on those pristine pitches. And let me tell you, that pitch at Stamford Bridge, really pristine. I got to go there in August, took a nice stadium tour. It was fabulous. Unbeknownst to me, going through the Chelsea Museum, seeing an Olivier Giroud kit there, not thinking to myself that we would compete against them. It's wild. Scarf, you can point at the screen all you want. I'm in a car. It's turbulence. My screen is about this big. I see that it's Ben with a comment, but I have no clue what he said.
He's just pointing out that Mercedes-Benz switched to grass for this tournament.
Oh,
so it's
all right. Well, then I stand corrected. This is Philly putting his foot in his mouth. Again, I apologize. I've been doing broadcasts for the last week. Either way, I just think there's a familiarity for some of our LAFC players going into Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's not going to make it feel the way that most people would think going into an opposing team's building. Being in Atlanta will be interesting. Obviously, it'll be a sea of blue, far more blue than more than likely black and gold. But shout out to everybody that's taken the trip out there. Slippy, obviously, we know our buddy Chris Lafferty, if he makes his flight, is going to be there. Scarf, hopefully you gave him the password to Defenders so they can produce some content. Either way, it's a historic time, and we'll still make a 7-figure amount of money just by competing in this match.
No, it's going to be incredible. And look, a coach that took over just this last season for Chelsea is the Italian Enzo Maresca. He was, by the way, a former really good, multi-dimensional midfielder who played for 11 really good clubs, almost 400 caps in his career, managed Parma in 2021 and then Leicester City in 23 and 24, but took over for Chelsea July 1st, 2024, and has managed 57 matches this season, 35 of those ending in victory for Chelsea. They did win the 2025 UEFA Conference League Championship over Real Betis 4-1. Look, I'm going to quote, because I don't know this myself, I'm just going to quote a source on the internet known as Wikipedia. When they talk about Maresca's style, which is named Maresca ball in the press, is built on balance, and he is characterized not only by maintaining ball possession, giggity, creating chances, scoring goals, and building plays from deep, with defenders and goalkeepers passing out of the back, but also by remaining defensively solid. That's like ChatGPT writing me out a formula to just be an okay coach. So that doesn't really tell me anything.
No.
I know that he prefers the 4-3-3, but he can also slip into a 3-5-2 sometimes. I have no idea. It's all kinds of different weirdness there. But Philly, what we do know is, like you mentioned, they placed fourth in a very good Premier League this year. 2 points from third with Manchester City there in third, but 15 ultimately back of Liverpool. And look, we talk about all of our different players to watch and keys to the matches and everything, but this one's a little bit special. So we're going to go through just a couple of guys that we want to make sure before I'll get into my keys to the match, and then Philly will get into his, even though I don't know what they are. This is going to be kind of fun. We'll do this, and we'll put Philly on the spot and make him do all this stuff. But their goalkeeper, who we will likely see in this tournament, they do utilize two goalkeepers quite a bit. But Robert Sanchez, the Spaniard, 34 matches played in 24-25. And in those 34 matches played, just 37 goals allowed and 10 clean sheets. The guy is very, very, very good. And in 57 matches, they have 4 double-digit goal scorers. Nicholas Jackson with 13 and 5 assists. Noni Madueke with 11 goals, 5 assists. Christopher Nkunku with 14 and 5. And the player that Philly mentioned, that I imagine will probably be his player to watch, is the absolutely insanely talented Cole Palmer with 15 goals and 12 assists. I do want to point out one guy real quick, if I could. And I'm going to butcher how to pronounce his last name. His last name is 4 letters, Guiu, Guiu. I don't know. His first name is Mark with a C. All he did in 7 Conference League matches was score 6 goals. He's played 580 minutes for Chelsea and has 6 goals. The dude is probably really, really, really good. He is really, really young at 22, and I can't wait to see if he makes a showing in the tournament. He could be one of those breakout guys here in the Club World Cup. But Philly, the crazy part is we talk about all that offense. We talk about all those great performers. We still haven't talked about 4 of the most important players on the team. I mean, Enzo Fernandez, a 24-year-old dynamic center mid. All he did was play 3,500 minutes, 14 assists, 8 goals. Levi Colwill, 22-year-old center back from England. Mark Cucurella, Spanish 26-year-old left back who led Chelsea in appearances. And, of course, Moises Caicedo, 23-year-old defensive mid who led Chelsea in minutes. He was a breakout star for Ecuador in the last Club World Cup. But, Philly, what do you say we get to our players to watch, keys to the match, and score predictions?
Yeah, sure. As you have the luxury of utilizing your notes and a computer, and I'm just trying to hold my phone steady while sitting shotgun in a car coming back from work. Let's talk.
I love that you're even here, my friend. This is the best surprise that we've got. And Philly with the rare worse lighting than I have on a podcast. Normally, Philly's lighting is fantastic. This is Philly After Dark, everybody, and it's my favorite kind of Philly. That's for damn
Or like
sure.
Philly in the dark.
All right, so here we go. I'm going to go with where I think it could be better than a lot of people think in terms of the matchup. The one thing I've read on a lot of social media accounts is how Moises Caicedo is just light years ahead of anything that LAFC has in the midfield. And look, with all due respect to Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch there in the midfield, and Timothy Tillman, by the way, his brother Malik played a hell of a game for Team USA today. Igor Jesus, all he's done every single time we put him out there against tough competition is rise to the occasion. And I think not just players to watch, but like a matchup to watch, meaning players who will actually play against each other at times. For me, the most fun is Igor Jesus against Moises Caicedo. Philly, I'm going to read you Ben's comment. He says, Philly in the Dark is my favorite show at 2 a.m. on Cinemax. That's for you there, Philly. I've got Igor Jesus and Moises Caicedo. I mean, Moises Caicedo leading Chelsea in minutes this year, 5 assists, but he is a very good defensive midfielder. Those are my two players to watch. Philly, I don't imagine we have to look very far for your two players to watch, but I'm going to let you say them anyway.
You'll forgive the quick jerk of the of
Whoa.
Philly After Dark. Petty keeps hitting the brakes to mess with me, and it's not very cool. As we go by a stoplight, she hit
Thank
the
you,
brake
Panda.
abruptly. Look, Cole Palmer and Denny Bouanga. That's must-see TV. Those are your two most deadly goal scorers on the opposing sides of the pitch. You want to talk about the war of attrition in the midfield? Fine. Jesus and Caicedo, yes, that could be a juicy matchup. And every player that you mentioned could be a designated player in Major League Soccer. No question about that. But everybody's going to want to see the new number 10, Cole Palmer, do their thing for Chelsea. And, of course, Denny the Destroyer. We need Denny to destroy the absolute hell out of Chelsea if we have any kind of shot in hell, or in this case, in the dark, at coming out with a positive result.
And Cougar always gives us the mythical money lines because, this is all just for informational purposes. But LAFC apparently plus 1,100. Fluffhead, that's hilarious. Plus 1,100 to win and plus 565 to draw. I kind of like those odds. We'll have to see. All right, so Philly's got the exact two players that, honestly, if we're putting money on things and players to do stuff, those are the guys that you should watch. And Cole Palmer and Denis Bouanga. I've got Igor Jesus and Moises Caicedo. Look, my two keys to the match, and I imagine, Philly, you may echo some of these sentiments. We got to survive the first 15 minutes, right? We can't get overwhelmed looking at the Chelsea shirts, right? So I think, look, I agree with you, Philly, that we are going to play a much better match than on paper. A lot of people are saying that we will against Chelsea, but I still think there's something about those first 15 minutes when those fans in blue and white in the stadium are going to be loud, are going to be raucous. It is going to be a thing. So I think we've got to figure out a way to survive the first 15 minutes. We cannot give up an early goal, have to stretch our formation, and then have to play out of the way that Steve Cherundolo is hoping that we can play in the first half. And then, of course, with that, limiting turnovers. I know that's like a no-duh statement for any soccer match, but we've seen LAFC get bit on early turnovers this season. We've seen LAFC get bit on bad turnovers this season. So if we limit the turnovers, that limits their ability to counter us. And where they are on the counter is one of the best clubs in the world. We lost Philly. So I have a feeling Philly maybe just got home, and he's going to have to go into world-famous Philomonster Studios and potentially join us from what we might have better lighting, but I'm a little disappointed because I really did enjoy all of the Philly After Dark. But, I mean, look, it's very, very simple. If we can somehow limit turnovers and survive those first 15 minutes, we got to limit them on the counter. It is going to be possible for LAFC to drag this thing into the half. I really think that there's a chance it could be 0-0 at the half if we play the way that we can. But let's see if I'm right. Yep, here comes Philly from world-famous Philomonster Studios now as he comes back into the house. No more Philly After Dark. Philly, I've got survive the first 15 minutes and limit turnovers. What you got, bud?
I mean, enjoy the moment and act like you belong. It's not very often, and it's not ever, that in our club's history that we've gotten to compete against the likes of these three teams that we're going to compete against. And don't think that the team from Tunisia is going to be a walk in the park either. This is an incredibly talented team that's chairman of the board is Gianluigi Buffon, something we mentioned a couple of weeks ago on Defenders of the Bank, Flamingo as well, Chelsea as well. Act like you belong, and then everything else will take care of it. It's a matter of perspective and confidence and mentality. This wasn't on LAFC's calendar, but because the soccer gods blessed us with an opportunity, and thank Grupo Pachuca, by the way, for allowing that to happen. It opened up the door for our one-off against Club America on where we are right now. Act like you belong. The rest will take care of itself. That's my thought process. Mentality, it's all about the brain muscle as opposed to the foot muscle.
Listen, walk around with a clipboard and a pen and nobody questions you. LAFC, bring your damn clipboard and a pen, get out there on the pitch, and everybody will know that you belong. I completely agree. Look, here's my thing. This tournament, LAFC is going to get at least one win. LAFC is going to shock some people. LAFC is going to perform better than I think all of the pundits have us performing in this tournament. And I think everything starts with the next match, because I think that LAFC does fall in this one 2-1 to Chelsea. But just like we've seen with Inter Miami and Al Ahly, who played a really tough, grinded out.
That was a great game.
It was a fantastic match. Nothing. It was a really good game.
Highly
If you had the
entertaining.
pleasure of watching, and I know, Philly, you didn't get to see it, but Seattle against Botafogo, Seattle should have walked away with at least a point. They were incredible in the second half. I think MLS sides are being underestimated. And personally, I think the run of form between the way that we dispatch Sporting Kansas City, I know they're Sporting Kansas City, calm down, but the way that we dispatch Sporting Kansas City and Club America in the fashions that we did bode so well for the way that we can play in this tournament. So I really do believe we are going to maybe shock someone, but I would actually say play the way we know we can play and earn a victory. And if we somehow find a way to figure out how to win our second match against Esperance, and we go into Flamengo with everything to play for, having scored a goal against Chelsea like this, who knows? We shock the world. We move on. It is going to be incredible. But I've got 2-1 Chelsea on this, which is, I don't know, you can count maybe on one hand how many times I've ever picked LAFC to lose a match.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I don't think you ever have. And 2-1, Chelsea was going to be my scoreline, but we can't do the same damn thing on this pod because it's no fun. I'll tell you what. No, I mean, it wouldn't be as much fun. I'll tell you what. My gut wants to tell me that we are going to draw 1-1. But you know what? F it. I'm feeling frisky. I'm feeling good after calling 22 games in 7 days. LAFC with the upset, because why not? Playing up to the level of a team that is vastly superior than anyone that we have faced all season long, and probably anyone that we're going to face, period, for a significant amount of time. We get the puncher's chance. We strike back. We strike first. They come with a quick answer. We win 2-1. That is me going out on a limb. Normally, I would have taken your score line in that case, but something has compelled me to call upset. 2-1 LAFC.
Yeah, and before we sign off, by the way, I got to give a shout out to the Austin FC supporters who today held up various signs clearly in support of all of us in Los Angeles and everything that is going on. At exactly the 32-minute and 52-second mark, the Austin FC supporters held up those signs in solidarity with all of us. I would be remiss if we didn't mention it here. We will also obviously talk about it a little bit on our episode that recaps this match. But shout out to the Verde and Black over there in Austin for an incredible show of support. Philly, where are you going to be at 12 o'clock tomorrow?
Try to play some hooky from work, no question about it. I'm going to have a meeting with a client right around then. I'm going to be...
Is her name Chelsea?
Well, yeah, well, yes, that could be, but I'm going to be having a date at Tony's Darts Away in Burbank on Magnolia. So find me there if you're local. That's where I'll be, because at the conclusion of the game, I'm going to have to haul ass right back to the office.
All right. Well, I'm going to be at summer camp. That's right. The summer camp I run starts tomorrow.
Are you going to be like Will Ferrell in the movie Old School? After he gets shot by the dart, you're going to run to the TV after LAFC scores. You're going to palm some kid's head to the side, going as you make your way over to the TV.
You know what? From your lips to God's ears, my friend. Look, I can't wait. You're going to be with us for the recap match on Tuesday?
The recap match?
I mean, the recap, episode, this.
I mean, it's so early. Why don't we just do it tomorrow?
I mean, because
it's a thought. I'll throw it out there. It's a thought.
Because I'm going to have to rewatch the match when I get home tomorrow.
Well, I mean, all right, fine. I guess Tuesday it is.
All right. Well, look, I'm excited because Philly joined us today. This was a very pleasant surprise. And Slippy will be joining us for the recap match as well. And with that, I've talked an awful lot. I'm going to give Philly the last word.
It's nice to be back, defenders. Again, for those curious as to my whereabouts, I was at TST last week. I don't think anybody called more games than me. 21 is how many I had. Started out 19. I got an additional 2, and I'll be back next year, which is pretty darn cool. And from what I'm being told, is an expanded role. So fingers crossed there. Called the game tonight in the WPSL. Did not think I would be able to make this pod, but the minute I sat in the car and Panda hauled ass, Scarf goes live. I'm like, I can't go live. And Panda's like, why not? I'm like, I don't know the password for this. Here it is. Well, okay, here we are. So I'm glad I got to be a part of this. There's no way I would have wanted to miss a pregame banter about a game that we're going to have against Chelsea. And I do think that we're going to shock some people. There you go, Fluffhead. I'll be there. I'd say right around halftime. But it's great to be back. I do think LAFC is going to pull a big surprise. I firmly do. And just looking forward to the FIFA Club World Cup. This is so exciting. Sure beats the heck out of a match against Toronto FC or anybody else in MLS. We're playing with the big boys now because we truly do deserve to be there. And I hope our boys realize it, that we deserve to be there, because we do. Finally, we have an opportunity to spread the little gospel of this tiny little black and gold club here in Southern California, in Los Angeles, a team that has made waves domestically. Hopefully we get a chance to make waves internationally as well. So that's my piece. Glad to be back. I'll be on the recap. My times are going to start getting more, my appearances, I should say, are going to be a lot more prevalent, because after June, my broadcasting quiets until August. So Scarf, you're going to have a lot to contend with.
I love it. I can't wait, my friend. Look, I've got 2-1 them. Philly says, screw it. 2-1 us.
2-1, screw it. Exactly. Screw it. Why not?
I love it. You guys are the best. Everybody in the chat, you know how much we love you and we appreciate you. With that, 12 o'clock tomorrow, get your mimosas ready for a match against Chelsea that counts. We love you all. Bye.
Go for the whiskey.